guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica Duffy with Jessica Duffy Beauty. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the brand new Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. This has been pretty hyped up for many years. Pat McGrath is a phenomenal makeup artist who started her own line. She's pretty well known for having some pretty pricey products. But if you guys are very interested in seeing what my opinion is on this foundation, if it's worth the whopping $68, then just keep on watching. Alright guys, so before we get started on the application of this foundation, I want to let you know that I went ahead and primed with the Guerlain Gold Primer, which tends to tighten and lift temporarily for a better kind of smoother application and wear of the foundation throughout the day. And then for pore filling, I went ahead and applied the Tarte Clean Slate, which is kind of like a dimethicone-like texture. Now, we're going to talk about this foundation a little bit before we get into it. It is called the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation, and it comes in this beautiful kind of package here. It is $68 for 35 milliliters, which is actually 1.18 fluid ounces. Your typical or standard amount of foundation is going to be right around 1 ounce, so you're actually getting a little bit more than you typically would. This comes in 36 shades. I chose the shade Light 6, which is it is a pink undertone, because I'm sure you guys have heard me say I am a pink undertone, aka cool undertone. Now, I'm also going to read the description directly from the Pat McGrath website, which is where I purchased it. Okay, it says Mother's instantly iconic foundation builds weightlessly from a sheer veil to flawless medium coverage in 36 universal color choices and 5 shade levels, custom curated for all skin types, tones, and undertones. The second step in Mother's Sublime Perfection system delivers a customizable couture finish that brings the runway to real life in a few powerful drops. Silky and luxurious, it feels creamy to the touch and delivers controlled, easily buildable coverage. Self-setting, post-perfecting, and long-wearing, its sublime satin finish lasts all day. This nourishing formulation is crafted with a Vita Serum complex designed to help fight the formation of wrinkles by preserving the hydrolypic film barrier of the skin. This complex boosts hydration by activating the natural production of hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Diamond Core Powder technology improves skin texture by optically smoothing and blurring the appearance of fine lines and imperfections, and illuminating soft focus pigment blended into the formula converts and scatters light, emulating the effect of a healthy, youthful complexion, formulated without parabens, talc, or fragrance, and is oil-free. Now, that was a lot of information to be thrown at you. So, if you'd like to do a little bit of research yourself, I would suggest going to patmcgrathlabs.com, because the description I just read will be there, as well as a list of prices, products, description, ingredients, anything that you may want to know about this specific product. Now, in the description, it talked about the second step in this face series that Pat McGrath released. Not only did she release this foundation, but she released a face primer. She also released a face powder to set all of your creams before you go on with your powders. And then she also released a series of brushes that are specific to apply these products. Now, this is the only thing that I purchased because the price for the entire bundle was upwards of like $250, maybe even more, and this foundation is what I was most interested in. It was $68, and now that we've read the description, I think that we hear why the price is so much. There are anti-aging properties, there are ceramides, there is, I think it said hyaluronic acid in there, so what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply. I'm going to do one side with a sponge, and I'm going to do one side with a brush. This is just a Morphe brush. This is not a Pat McGrath brush. The difference in the application of the two, a sponge will tend to absorb any excess product, so you're going to give a much more sheer application. Therefore, you're probably going to use more product if you use a sponge. A brush, it can be helpful to not waste products, but if you're not very careful with the application with a brush, you could leave brush strokes, as well as kind of, it just won't look nearly as natural. So you just have to be aware. A good tip could be to apply with the brush, and then at the very end before it sets, kind of go over and stipple with the sponge to kind of give an even, flawless base and to get rid of any brush strokes. So we're going to go ahead and go in. I'm just going to go on the back of my hand, and on the first side, we're going to go in. I just took 3 whole pumps here, and it's a very liquidy consistency, I'm noticing. And I have lots of dark marks, I have dark circles, I've got a lot working here. I can already tell that I am going to need much more than 3 pumps with the sponge so far. I don't know if you guys can tell in my lighting, but this shade is a perfect match for my skin tone. I'm taking another 3 pumps. Always go on the ear, but don't forget to clean off any jewelry or just remove the jewelry. But don't forget the ear, because that will always show. A lot of people forget to take it there, and you can always see a line. Okay. For any extra help on my problem areas, I'm going to go in with 1 more pump. Like I said, with sponges, they tend to absorb a lot of the product and shear out the product. So if ever you're looking for a little extra coverage or help, go in with a brush, and then maybe at the very end, like I said, go in with just a very lightly damp sponge. Always go in with a damp sponge, not soaking wet, not bone dry. Take a sponge, kind of squeeze it, get it wet a few times, and then take a paper towel or a regular towel and really wring it out until you cannot get any more water out of it. That will make sure that the sponge absorbs enough product so that way you're not caking makeup on, but it doesn't absorb too much that you're wasting money, if that makes sense. I do remember the description of this product saying that it is self-setting, and it is a satin finish, which is a big reason why I wanted to get it. I'm not a huge fan of matte finish, and I like a dewy finish when my skin is super parched in the winter time. So we're going to see. I'm assuming that this is going to be a right in between natural finish, kind of like the Too Faced Born This Way that I love so much. So I'm going to let this go ahead and kind of settle, breathe a little bit. Now we're going to go in with the Morphe JH03, and I'm not going to take nearly as much product, because we know that with brushes it kind of just sits on top of the bristles, and the bristles do not absorb. Well, synthetic bristles. Don't ever apply foundation or creams with a natural hair. Natural hair absorbs. Always use a synthetic. I think I'm going to just take this right directly on top, and I'm taking 3 pumps. And I'm going to start in a stippling motion. I'm already noticing a lot of brush strokes and a lot of, it's just not nearly as clean looking. Initially, the laydown of this product feels a little wet. It feels a little slippery, like kind of feels like it's not going to dry down. But as this side is kind of breathing a little bit, it doesn't feel like it's becoming dry like a matte formula. It just feels like it's not nearly as greasy and heavy as the side that I am applying now. I'm going to try to continue in stippling motions because if I kind of swipe, it'll just cause even worse brush strokes. Stippling motion will do a similar effect as a sponge in the sense that it's not going to leave any strokes on the face. It'll push it into the skin, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going to take my sponge that I used to apply the other side, and I'm going to like press it, just press into the skin to get rid of any strokes and to absorb any excess product. Okay, so I mean, with the exception of taking the sponge over the side that I applied with the brush, I feel as though both sides look very similar. I'm going to try and take you in a bit of a different light so that way we can really kind of see if there are any differences and how well this is meshing with my skin. I'm going to try to bring you into a natural light. If you guys can see here, I cannot see what the camera is picking up because I'm not filming on my phone, but I'm going to bring you in as much as we can so we can see. What I'm going to do is go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup, and at the very end I will kind of give you my final thoughts. We'll take a look at how this foundation is laying underneath all of my other day-to-day products. And yeah, alright guys, so I went ahead and finished my makeup. I did not set the foundation or concealer. If you've watched any of my last few videos, then you know that that is something that I'm doing right now. I don't believe that you can do that with any and all products. You have to experiment. You have to find what products are willing to give and allow for not setting, because putting more powders on top of a wet base or a base that will not dry properly will not allow for proper blending and can cause patchiness and all of that. So it's just something that you have to work with. It's something that you have to discover what your skin can handle, what the product can handle. Anyway, what I found with not setting this is at first I was nervous because I kept saying in the beginning that it felt a little greasy, a little bit oily, and I was concerned that it was not going to dry down appropriately. As time went on, I still felt as though there was a little bit of a tack there, which is not always a bad thing. I have not set this or seen what this looks like set, so let me just give you my opinion on this foundation while it is not set. I did use it with any and all products that I use on a daily basis, so I know what these products do, I know what they're capable of, and I can trust them. I laid down directly on top of the foundation my Tarte Shape Tape. I did my usual kind of blend dry, that way any creasing, the concealer itself really sets itself on top of this foundation. I then went in with my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and I just have to say I was very nervous, but even though I did feel a little bit of a tack still there, I could feel a little bit of tug with my brush. It blended beautifully. I don't have any lifting, I don't see any patches, and to be honest, with this foundation in particular, I don't think my skin has ever looked better. I will take you into the natural light so you can see it a little bit better, but I'm going to go into the rest of the products that I've used and then my final thoughts. After the bronzer, I used my ABH Blush Trio palette. I then used my Jeffree Star Diamond Wet highlighter here on the high points, as well as the décolleté. I then went in and did my brows with just the basic Benefit Precisely My Brow, gelled them, and then I went in with my Nudie Patootie palette, just with some basic kind of pinky nudes. and then I used my roller lash, and that is about it, you guys. I have not set the face with any kind of spray, and I definitely didn't use any powder outside of the bronzer, blush, and highlighter. My final thoughts for immediate wear. I'm going to kind of chime in about, let's say, 7 to 8 hours. Right before I take my makeup off, I will give my very final thoughts on this product to see how it wore throughout the day. But as of right now, I think it is a beautiful finish. I absolutely see what they mean by the blurring effect. It has some sort of light technology in it that refracts light and allows for a blurring effect as opposed to a pore fill blurring effect, if that makes sense. It's more of an illusion versus a physical filling of texture, which is a good thing because that means it's not going to fill your pores and possibly cause breakouts. It's funny how the texture when it comes out of the bottle is so liquidy, but then as it starts to dry down, it becomes very tacky, and I did not expect that. This is a very unique formula, I'm noticing. I did not take a look at the ingredients list, but I will review that before I come back in with my final thoughts. I do remember it saying that it has ingredients in here for anti-aging, so over time, it's going to really, like if you're already wearing makeup, there are ingredients added to the foundation that really allow for kind of preventing aging as we go through our day. And I really appreciate that because, you know, we're already putting these products on our face, so why not put products on our face that can benefit us rather than just clog pores and, you know, cause buildup of debris. So far, I think it's a beautiful foundation. Now, the price, $68. That is something, but, you know, like I said, I won't give my complete final thoughts until the end of the day, and you guys will see that. I'm going to take you into the natural light, so that way you can really see what this is going to look like. Natural lighting is the absolute best judge for any makeup, because natural lighting is the harshest lighting people are going to see you in the majority of the time. So I just really wanted to show you guys what this looks like. I cannot see what this looks like. I did go and take a look at this in the mirror in the natural light as well as in my bathroom, and I think that this finish is beautiful. I really enjoy this foundation so far, what I have tried. Alright guys, so right now it's approximately 8:45. I've had this foundation on for about 8 hours. I will take you into a little bit better of lighting so you can really see it, but I have not touched up. I went out into the 90-degree weather today. I was chasing around my son, and I think that it looks pretty good for the wear and for what I did all day long. I really like it. I think that it would be considered a natural finish foundation. If you're somebody with oily skin, I don't know that it would be ideal for you, but if you were to set it with powder, it would probably be a little bit better of a wear. For the price, $68 though, I don't know that it would be worth it if you're somebody shopping on a budget. I think that you could probably find really good natural finish foundations without having to spend that much money. Let's turn this light on so if you guys can take you into a better lighting so you can really see. Honestly though, I think that for what I did all day long, I think that my makeup looks great for not having touched up, for having, you know, textured skin and large pores, and all of that being out in the heat makes your pores kind of expand a little bit more, so they become more noticeable. I think that because I already spent the money, it was worth the money for me, because had my face not looked this great throughout the day, then it would have been a waste of almost $70. But if you're looking at buying it, if you're considering it, I don't know, maybe give it a try. If you're somebody on a budget, I wouldn't feel like you have to go out and buy it. There are other great foundations out there with a natural finish that you don't have to spend $70 on. For instance, the Too Faced Born This Way that I rave about all the time, that one's great. Anyway, my final thoughts are, it is a win for me. I definitely approve of this product. I love you guys so much. please subscribe, thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all my future videos.